Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to Battle of the Brushes. I'm going to be the first one on YouTube to do this test. We are looking at the Infinity 8 2024 and we are putting it up against, drumroll, custom micron takumi. Everybody's been asking about it, going which one's best? I think this is better and I think this is, and it's like, oh. I said in my review that both brushes sit here. Now I've painted with them both and done pieces of artwork from credit card with them both up to A3, and they both perform perfect on the paints, they really do. So I've sort of answered that question already in my mind, that they do sit there. So we're going to put them up against each other, and I'm going to do Createx illustrations straight out the bottle, Golden Eye Flow straight out the bottle, and then I'm going to do a thin mix with my FW, because they're the paints I use, and they're the sort of ones that are widely used when it comes to airbrushing. You've probably got your Liquitex, you've got your Comart, you've got your Wicked and things like that. I have got them, but I thin them right down, so I'm going for the ones straight out the bottle that I've got here. And sometimes that can be funny with brushes, you know, they might not perform on the day. They've both been cleaned. I've blasted them through with 2K thinners, cleaned them, and then flushed them through with water. So they're both ready to rock and roll. So we're going to move in, just going to do some dots and lines, because that's what everybody does on YouTube, isn't it? Dots and lines. You've seen the artwork that I can do with them both. You've seen the artwork on the channel. So now I've got to revert back to dots and lines. So a nice little warm-up session for me. We're going to run the brushes at, I think the main line's 1 second. The main line is set at 23 psi. So I'm just going to leave it at 23 psi. Both brushes, the MAC valve will be fully open on the airline, and we're just going to chuck some paint down, and then we'll have a little chat at the end. So let's move in and get these brushes head to head. Right guys, we are ready to go. Custom Takumi, there it is. If you've not seen one, brilliant brush guys. Nice, short, small, stubby front end. Really comfortable trigger, responsive. Side cut, but I always think the side cut's a bit big on this, that's what lets it down. So then you have to jump over to H&S and grab one of their cups because it fits, or a Neo to make it smaller, because it's just a little bit big. But once you get used to it, it's no dramas. Now, Createx illustration, I will give it a shake. We'll drop some of that into the Takumi, straight out the bottle this is. And we'll just go down at that pressure and just... Now, dots, you know what the Takumi is like, it's like instant. You're probably not seeing that. Yeah. Now, a little bit of a break on that then. Try and get this down more. We're getting down lower. There you go, we're low at that. Little break in it then, little break then, just coming through, little break. Little. It's really hard to get, I'm just gonna, it's getting down. It's right, it's doing it. I'm getting a little blowout on that. Just spitting out a bit, but as you can see, I mean, I'll just do my name there quickly. Nice and down, I mean tight, very tight for the micron, you know. We all know the micron, I mean look. That's down, that's super down guys for the micron. Got to remember it's cold in the studio, my hands are cold. So just getting on the trigger, it's got to get sort of warmed up. So that's the Takumi with Createx illustration. Super down, as you know it does, you know. Right, we'll get the infinity prong cap off. Just blast that cleaner through. Createx illustration, guys. Straight in. Now we'll reset the needle, get everything right. It's because I've cleaned it. Tighten the back up. Right, just pull that through. And then, oh, now look at, let me try and just get it even smaller than that. Now look how fine, that is straight off the bat, that is. Illustration, look how fine that gets down. Yeah? It's instant. You've only got to just touch that trigger. Now this is what I mean by why they sit together. I think the Infinity can get down. I mean, that is ridiculously fine. I got the micron down to that fine, but it's very sort of not full darkness opacity on it. But this is what I mean by the Infinity, guys. Look at that. So I think, personally, the Infinity gets down cleaner, a lot tighter. The micron's down. You'd have to put these under like a microscope and bring them up and look at the paint pattern on how it's laid down. It's ridiculous. I mean, that micron's down. But this, look how clean. It puts it down. It just puts it down. You can put the paint down so it's like full opaque, so you can get more paint down but still hit ridiculous fine, you know. So that's illustration. Both of them brilliant, but them lines there are cleaner, sharper than what that put out. Now it all goes down to as well how good you are on the trigger, minimal paint. You know, there's probably people out there going, well, I can get down further than that. I don't think there's any need to get down any further than that or that, because it's enough, you know. And that's straight out the bottle paint. You can get it thinner than this. You can get it down a little bit tighter with a little bit thinner paint. But for straight out the bottle, illustration straight out. And when you pour that stuff out, it looks quite thick when it comes out the bottle. Just going to give the micron a blast through before the next drop of paint. Just clean that through. Right, I'm going to go for the golden high flow black. And this is my mix, so it's like a 1-to-1, which you would mix it at. Micron, lovely, look at that. Responsive look, straight on the bat on the dots, and then super fine down. Super fine down. You know, so that's the micron. Well, we'll do a little bit of shading, because we know how the micron shades look really soft. It can atomize the paint down. You can get your point to points with it nice when you do your dagger strokes, really clean. Infinity golden straight in. Again, super fine down, guys. I mean, you can't see that one. ridiculously fine down. Just get that paint through. I mean, you're just nudging this trigger, it's ridiculous. You can blow it out really quick because you're just literally nudging the trigger on this. Shading on the infinity. So that's golden, and that's an old golden. It's not new. If you've got a new one, it'd be better. This is like probably 8 to 9 years old, so it is a little bit grainy. It's not the best. Give them a good clean bubble back. Dump the paint. Right, this is my FW Paints Grey Mix, which is thin. Micron, straight in on the dots. This is a better paint for this brush because now you can see them real fine lines. Yeah. That's the needle about touching the paper. Super fine. Little dagger strokes. Yep, super fine. That's the micron. We all know what it can do. Let's switch it up to the infinity. Blast that through. Payne's grey again. Just give it a shake. Drop that in the brush. And look at that, guys. It's like ridiculous response on the trigger. Tiny little dagger strokes. Anyone? So I think this is sharper, is a lot sharper on what it does when it goes down on. It's ridiculous, guys, it really is. It's just, I've got the tension on this trigger up. That's even better now. Yeah, look. It gets stupid down. They both get down. I reckon these are the two best brushes for getting down on detail. They both perform, but I think the Infinity myself has got the edge over it. It really has. It's got the edge over it on going down tight, but cleaner, sharper, and it puts more of an opaque look down to it than when you're really trying to go down with the same paint with the micron. You're trying to, I mean, it's doing it. You can see it's done it. You'd think that was just one brush that's done that, you know. But then when you study that and look at this, I mean, that's ridiculous how that's put that paint down. Right, guys, we have tested it with different paints. I could have put loads more paints through it. You're probably going to say, well, why didn't you test it with this paint and this paint? These are the paints that I've got and that I use, and they're airbrush paints. So we've gone from ones straight out the bottle, which are sort of your top sort of brands that are being used today. You've got your Createx Illustration that's near enough everyone's jumping on. I've got Wicked on the shelf, but I've not got their reduced, so I'd have to use ISO to thin it, and I use a thin mix in that. But I've used both of these brushes with the thin paints, and now I've tested them with the thick paints. Now, when you look at this, if that picked it up in the camera shot, because I'm zooming in on it, so it may look a bit big, but when you look at it here now, when I look between the two, you'd look at this and think one brush has done that. But when I look between the two, you've got the Micron here and you've got the Infinity here. The Infinity is tighter on its line work and its real small dagger strokes. It puts the paint down sharper and cleaner, and I can see that from here to here. The micron is, you'd hardly sort of notice it, but the micron, when you look right up close, isn't as sharp as what the Infinity get down. So I'd personally put the 2024 Infinity on the detail and how it sprays paint and what it can do slightly here, you know. It's just tipped it. We could all say, yeah, it sits bang on equal, and I would say that, but from my experience, it's slightly tipped it, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back a few years before the custom Takumi came out, and the one that was sort of leading the way was that one, which was the CMS BV2. Every artist jumped on this, and then everyone looked up and put this one on a pedestal, yeah? So when it came to H&S had the original Infinity, which is this one, yeah? So these were your top-end detail brushes at the time, and everybody brought this, and there were people buying this. Now, if you went on this, if you stuck with this, you'd think no dramas, the Infinity is brilliant. It's only when you transitioned over to this that you felt lag in this trigger. Going over to another brush that had a better response rate on the trigger. That's the only time you notice the difference on the Infinity trigger, was when you go across and then you transition over to another paint brush brand. And that's what I did, and that's what I noticed. So they sat like that. The Infinity always sat here looking up at this one in my eyes, because when I transitioned across, I put that down. I thought, crikey, that's got lag in it. So it sat like that. Then this one got discontinued, yeah? And then they brought out this one, which when you look at them, it doesn't look like there's much difference really when you look at it. If I stick the bigger cup on the side of that one, it'd look the same, and cut a bit out the back of the body. It looked like you got the same brush. The characteristics of that and the older one are near enough mirror match. It's hard to tell the difference between the two when you spray with them. So then this one came out, and that sat above this. This was still out, and this was still selling. It sat there again. It's always sat there to that, I think, because it had the lag in the trigger. Now 2024 has come around, and people are still thinking of the old Infinity. Oh, it's got lag. Have they changed the lag? Is it changed? This is why I say this is now come from here, and it is here, guys. Yeah. So then you think, well, the micron must still be better because it's a dearer brush, because you're paying ballpark £500 for that brush, and the Infinity's coming out at $230. So you instantly think, well, the micron's still got it better because it's more expensive. And that's how people think. That's how we all think. Because it's dearer, it must be better. So I've looked into this and thought, well, what else can you look at? So the next thing that people look at and think, well, if it's £500 and it's dearer, it's got to be better build quality. No, it's not. Yes, you'll pay £500 for it and it's going to last you 20 years. Yeah. You'll pay $230 for it and that's going to last you 20 years. And the reason why I can vouch for that is going to last you 20 years is that is about 13 years old, 13, 14 years old, the original Infinity, and still works an absolute dream, you know. And my Evo is 16, 17 years old. So H&S have got the build quality down, and I'd say in the 2024 range is better. So you can't say, well, the micron's worth its price tag because it's got better build quality. No, H&S has got it there as well. So it's pipped it here now. It's now come up from trailing behind, always like that, and everyone buying that, thinking that's the best. Now it's here. I know it matches it on build quality because I've got them. So it'll sit with the iwata on build quality. So this is what it boils down to, guys, is what you want to spend your money on. I know which way I would go if I was on the market now for a detail brush, looking at them two brushes with the experience that I've got and seeing the build quality in both. They're both brilliant build quality and they're both brilliant brushes. But that iwata is not worth £500 when you've got one sitting next to it at 320 and can do exactly what it can do. spray the paints, and I think spray the paint sharper. So is it a no-brainer? You know, it then boils down to, you've got your H&S fans and you've got your iwata fans that have started airbrushing, they've been airbrushing 40 years and they've stuck with one brush brand. These are the best. And then you get the other ones that sit over there and go, these are the best. And this is where you get all the bickering starting. And it's the same if you've got people that have sat on Badger from the day dot and never transitioned over to different brushes. And they're like, these are the best. It's with every brush. You get the same thing with spray guns. You know, people, Sartor are the best, and then De Vilbris are the best. It's the same in everything, guys. So it's entirely up to you. You either want to sting yourself in your pocket or save yourself a bit of money and enjoy it. Because if you went that route at 320, you could buy that, you could buy a compressor, you could buy yourself some paints and some paper, and you're completely set up. You buy that, you're not going to get the compressor with it, the paints and everything else that comes along with it. You're just buying that. You're weighing out for that. And that can match it. So this is why I say it's a no-brainer. You know, I can't really do any more tests than I have, guys. You know, I've done different paints. I've tested them both on micro portraits up to big A3 and looked at the spray patterns and looked at the detail and the way I can get the strokes in the brush to start and stop. And that's why they both sit like that. Infinity, custom Takumi. Longevity, like that. Price, Infinity. It's easy. It's as simple as that, guys. So it's entirely up to you. I hope you've enjoyed the video. So thanks for watching, and I will see you lot in the next one. Cheers, guys.